thank you everyone for joining us and attending the Trade Show 101. I am Cindy Nitschke. Co-chair for special events is Sydney Bryan.
Hello, good morning. Thank you guys for joining us. We're excited to see everybody and talk through the trade show coming up here.
As we go along, we want it to be a casual atmosphere. So if you have questions along the way, please let us know. Raise your hand, put it in the chat. We'll be monitoring the chat, or, we'll kind of take a pause every few slides to see how everybody's doing, if you're, kind of following along well. And I guess we will all just do a quick introduction of ourselves. Sydney, I'll let you go first.
Perfect. Vicki's going to be sharing our screen today. So if you guys have any questions, just let us know. But like Cindy said, my name is Sydney Bryan. I am with talent acquisition at Greystar. I am one of the committee co-chairs for special events this year. So we're in charge of organizing and putting on the trade show, and we are excited to see everybody and put on a good show this year.
Good morning, everybody. I am Tyra Kurkowski. I'm a senior community manager with Greystar as well, and thanks for joining us today.
I'm Cindy Nitschke. I am with BG Multifamily, and I am one of the co-chairs for the committee, as well as co-chairing with Tyra on specifically the trade show.
Hi, everyone. Smith. I am with CORT Furniture. I am also on the special events committee, where I serve as the secretary, and thanks for joining us today. It's going to be really fun.
Jessica and I are in the office, so she may have had to step away from her desk. But Jessica Esposito is our events coordinator here at TAA. She is joining us. And then I am Vicki Franciosi. I am the meetings and events director here at TAA. And we are lucky enough to get to work with all the folks who just introduced themselves, as well as you all. So without further ado, I think I'll just jump into the next slide, Cindy, if that works.
Perfect. So first and most importantly, our trade show this year is going to be on April 27th. The show is going to take place from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. that day, and it will be in the Jim Graham building on the NC State Fairgrounds.
Okay, so I'll jump in here on behalf of the exhibitors. I'm sure you're all here and you want to know, why should I go to the trade show, or why should I exhibit? As a supplier partner, it's a great opportunity to connect with someone on site, or a regional or maintenance supervisor that you've been wanting to work with for a while. So you get those new business prospects. It's a great way to showcase your brand. You get to throw your logo up on your banner, and your competitors are going to be there. So why wouldn't you want to be there and toss your hat in the ring too?
And then as far as like owner operators, we often get asked, why do we attend? Obviously the social aspect, but it's also gaining exposure to new vendors and networking. I use it personally as a way to discover, excuse me, the latest and greatest like products and services that I can possibly bring back to my community and elevate the resident experience. And then of course, for the giveaways.
Yes, and the second what Tyra said, all of that, and it's fun. It's fun to go and hang out with your teams and hang out with your friends and get to see what's going on in the industry. I don't have a resident experience to enhance, but I do have managers that I work with and team members who do need services. So it's always beneficial for me to learn about what's going on in the industry and be a resource for my team members who need services.
And then as far as like for my team, my goal is always, and I think a lot of times vendors always just kind of really focus on like the supervisor, the maintenance supervisor, the RPM, the current decision makers. But I like my team to go so that they're starting to create those relationships with vendors, so that when they are in that position of leadership, they already have those relationships and they know who to turn to and where to go.
And it's also an important way to help grow our team members and get them exposed in the industry, have them be introduced to, different suppliers, different owner operators in the industry, not just with our company, but get to expand their reach throughout the industry as a whole.
Marketing, how, why, when? theme versus no theme. I have worked for companies that did not want to participate in the theme. They just wanted to focus on their brand. That is fine. Just because we have a theme doesn't mean that you need to participate in it. It's just kind of something to use to, create some excitement in your booth, but as well, your branding is very important to you and making sure that they know who you are. You don't want the theme or participating in it to overshadow who you are or what you do. So it is optional. Some companies, like to do it, some don't. If you choose to do it and, you're eager to really get into the theme, then be sure and enter your booth in the contest, because we do have a contest, and that might give you some additional recognition as well. Items to bring, promotional items, definitely plan ahead on this. There's all kinds of things you can do. You can have things that pertain to the theme, again, things that just pertain to your business. Fun gadgets. Keep in mind who your audience is. If you work mostly with service teams, you find something that you think is going to appeal to them versus office teams. Make sure you order enough pieces. People will be, as I call it, go trick-or-treating. They just go from one booth to the next, like just gathering. So, if you don't want to have enough for everybody to grab something, then you're going to want to, keep it behind you so that you have some control on what you hand out. Everybody's a little different as far as buying something inexpensive and buying a lot of them so that, people can grab and go. Sometimes people go with something a little nicer, and then they limit the people who could get them, like maybe if there was a game or something that they had to do in your booth to earn it. So those are kind of some different ways that you can go about your items and what you're going to have. I'm sure that there are basic favorites. I'm going to turn to Sydney and Tyra and ask them, what are some of the favorite things that you always like seeing there?
Personally, over the years, the ones that always stand out to me are like those kind of, maybe even those big ticket items where you're going to a booth and you're not taking something away, which I always think is super smart for vendors, because they're automatically getting all of our contact information then, and then they can reach out and gives them that connection.
I like pens and cups.
I love
I'm
a cup.
sucker for a good pen and a good cup.
I'm a sucker for a good adult sippy cup.
That's right. So there's all kinds of directions that you can really go in when it comes to that. Also, as far as marketing your booth, people are visual. So it is difficult to see, like each of our booths will be labeled with our name and the booth number. It's not real visible. So if you're trying to promote yourself in advance, telling people to stop by your booth, it probably would be good to, show on a diagram, circle where you are so that, they can understand you're in the first row at the very back, or whatever that case may be.
Those are all very good points, especially the one about people being visual. I stopped by the TAA office and got a stack of the postcards that they mailed out, and I wrote my booth number on them so that I can pass them out while I'm going out on site visits to help people have more of a physical reminder to look for me at the show. You want to do everything you can to promote your booth. You're spending some of your budget on it, so you want to make sure you're promoting it on social media. If your company's on social media, you want to engage with the post that Rachel puts out for TAA, even if you're doing so from your personal account, so that people can see that you're going to be there, and maybe it reminds them, because we want to get as many of our owner operator friends in as possible. And most importantly, like when you're getting those fun gadgets and other items for the show, try to partner with another supplier partner with TAA. It's always nice to do business with other members. This year, for the first time, I was able to partner with one of the other members for my giveaway. I won't give any hints on what it is.
And if I can mention you all, we do have flyers, we do have postcards here in the office. So if anyone would like to get those, you can send me an email. After the session, we will email out the marketing flyer so that y'all can send that out to your clients. And as you're out doing site visits, like the group talked about. But if you also want us to print some out for you in color, we are happy to do that. So just say, hey, Vicki, print me X number, and we'll have them for you at the front desk to pick up to make it easy.
One thing I want to add to, just like as far as obviously bringing plenty of business cards to share with people, if you are doing a drawing, you will find that a lot of the attendees do not have a business card. So you may want to consider having some kind of slip that they can fill out in lieu of a business card, because otherwise they'll start taking yours and writing their info on it and stuff. So that's just another little tip.
Something
Something
that
that
is maybe a good idea instead of having just a blank slip is create something that you can print that has the information that you want on there, like their name, company and property and email address, phone number. That way you're not ending up with a bunch of Gmail accounts and you're making business contacts.
Yeah, something that worked for me last year really well was using a QR code, because even if people didn't have business cards, it allowed them to input everything. And at the end of the night, I had a spreadsheet with all of their contact information so I could do follow-up. So that's wanting to be more green like me, then that's a great way to do it.
That's so smart.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right. Y'all, my computer is really having an attitude with me this morning, so I'm keeping it as it is because every time I try to make it go widescreen, we lose you. So we're gonna go to the booth contest. Tyra, can you guys see that?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
So every year we do host a contest. We recognize 3 different winners. There's overall booth, use of theme, and then costume. And we do use judges from outside our industry.
Yep, and those judges will not be any members or TAA staff. They're secret, so they'll be walking around and looking at everybody's booth starting at 4 p.m. If you are selected as the winner, you'll be notified at the show. There'll be an announcement as well as a post on social media following. And then if you are a winner, you do get a trophy and then also credit for the 2023 show.
Yeah, I got a quick question. This is Scott from Service RX.
Yeah.
The QR code that you used for a survey, do you remember where you got it?
I did it through my company's marketing team so that we could have information specific to us. But I do know from other experience that there are lots of free websites where you can go on and download your own.
Okay.
And create it yourself. Ooh, this is always a favorite part of the show for everyone. Not only do you win cool prizes if you win, but you're helping to benefit the education foundation, which helps people win scholarships to further their career.
Usually the baskets are donated by apartment communities or management companies and exhibiting companies. Anyone can create a basket to donate. Again, all the funds are going for, scholarships for further education. And people tend to go with little themes. They're really cute. And you too can participate in it. So tickets are usually pre-sold and they're also available at the show. And basically you just drop them in the bucket of the basket that you want to win, and then it'll be a random drawing from there. But it does create a lot of excitement. And if you do basket, that's just added exposure for you. So, and the value of the basket can vary. They're all a little different. They all have a little bit different theme and different cost behind it. So, you know, it's just get creative and do whatever. It can even be themed towards whatever your type of business is.
I love this picture of Becky Hale. She's so excited when she won last year.
That's hilarious.
So I think this is Jessica and I are going to jump in and share some information with you. We're going to kind of give you some of you definitely need to know before you go, a lot of the sort of nitty gritty details. So Jessica, are you able to jump in? And there she is.
So to start off, kind of the main resource for us would be our website and the event page for the trade show. Pretty much like 90% of the information is going to be on that web page. So if you have a question or would like to see anything about the show, I would suggest visiting there first. You can access the updated floor plan. We're constantly updating it on there, so it's the most recent version. We have on the left side all the information for the attendees, and then on the right side all the information for the exhibitor. So you guys are going to want to focus on that right side. We have the agreement, all the booth pricing, the needs assessments. We have the exhibitor kit from Hollins, who is the company that actually sets our trade show. So they are the ones that come in and put up all the pipe and drape and all the carpet and all of that. So if you wanted to purchase like additional tables or chairs or a different color carpet for your booth, that's something you can purchase through Hollins. And so this year, we also have some of all the food listed on the left side. We'll have some of the Battle of the Baskets information once we get that up there. And then all the health and safety information. And as exhibitors, you guys, of course, get to eat too. I think at some other shows, that's not always the case. So you guys are going to be able to eat. All of these food places are included in your ticket. So kind of that's just a general rundown of the website. Again, pretty much has all of the main information on there if you ever have any questions. So this year, our show hours are going to be from 4 to 8 p.m. And so that's actually a little bit less, a bit of a time than we usually do. We usually go to 8:30, or we did last year. And we found that people are having trouble staying till the end, kind of keeping people there. So we kind of cut those hours down a little bit. As we were talking about for Hollins, we have all that information on the website. And then if you say you get to the show the day of and you're like, oh, I wish I would have ordered like an extra table or an extra chair or something, you still have a chance to do that even the day of the show. So when you guys go to check in on the exhibitor registration side, we'll actually have a little booth there from Hollins. So if you guys do need anything the day of, they are available in the lobby. And of course, you can place your orders with them beforehand and have them shipped to the fairgrounds as well if it's something big. And then as far as loading, unloading, all of that, so the show doesn't actually start until 4. We ask that all the exhibitors be set up and have eaten by 3. And so what time does unloading start, Vicki? 8 or 8:30?
8.
8, okay, sorry. So by 8 o'clock is when you guys can come for unloading. And so when you guys arrive at the fairgrounds, we're going to be in the Jim Graham building, and there's going to be one of the big rolled up doors rolled up for you guys to load and unload. So not all of the doors will be open. It's only going to be one of the big roll up doors. But we suggest kind of getting over there, bringing like a dolly or a cart if you have anything. Again, if anyone's ever been in that building, it's pretty big. So if you come in the door and have your booth all the way on the other side, it could be a pretty long walk. So you might want to bring a cart or something to just help make things easier for you. We'll have like 1 or 2 carts available, but we really need that kind of for like TAA stuff. We won't really have much available as far as carts for you guys. So I would suggest bringing your own. As Vicki had mentioned in this chat, it is on the Dorton Arena side, which will be the door that we will have open for the unloading and unloading. And then as she also mentioned, if we open both sides, it creates a wind tunnel and it like will literally pull all the pipe and drape down. So that's why we're only allowed to have one door open. So
I did that before once. So I learned.
Yeah, so loading starts at 8 a.m. or unloading, I'm sorry, starts at 8 a.m. So I would suggest kind of getting there as early as you feel comfortable. Some people like to kind of get there first thing, 8 a.m., set everything up, kind of go do some work for a little bit, come back. Some people kind of like to get there a little later, just get everything set up. But we do suggest getting there early enough to give yourself enough time to set up. It would be the worst thing to like have the owner operators start coming in and then to have you still setting up your booth and not be ready yet. So we always want to make sure we're ready before they start arriving. And again, you'll have time to eat before they start arriving as well. And then for breakdown, so our show ends at 8 p.m. this year, like I said earlier. So that means we cannot break down our booths until 8 p.m. It's kind of a trend that we've seen happening recently, is like a lot of folks really just want to break down their booths, start cleaning up, get ahead of themselves. Like, again, if you've been there from 8 a.m., it is a long day. We get that. You could have been there for 12 hours. So I know you may be tired and you may be ready to go, but we really ask that you guys do not break down until 8 p.m. because what happens is if one person starts breaking down at 7:45 or 7:30, then it'll kind of be like a chain reaction. And then by the time it actually is 8 o'clock, like literally half the show has broken down. And that's something we really don't want to do. I know a lot of the attendees tend to get there like right at 4, kind of walk the show, but a lot of other people don't get there until sometimes 6 or 7 o'clock, especially if they're getting off work late or get stuck in traffic. You never know what could happen. So there could be someone just arriving at 7:30. So if you're breaking down your booth, you're going to miss that person. So really, really important that you don't break down your booth until the show is over at 8 o'clock. And then as far as attendees within your booth, so if you have a single booth, the maximum number of attendees you're allowed to have in there is 4 people. If you have a double, the maximum amount of attendees you're allowed to have is 7 people. If you've been to any of our shows before, that is a slight decrease than we've had in past years, but due to COVID and kind of capacity issues, we've kind of had to cut that back, and we want to make sure that we're getting the largest amount of owner operators in the room or in the building that we can. So in order to do that, we had to kind of cut back on some of the exhibitor attendees. So again, 3 are included with a single booth. You can pay to have an additional 4th person. And then for the double booth, 5 are included. You can pay to have the 2 additional. And just some general dimensions about the booth. So they are 10 foot by 10 foot. So if you have a single booth, you're going to have 10 foot one way, 10 foot the other way. If you have a double, it's going to be 10 foot by 20 foot. So the main thing to know with this is that the kind of wall separating your booth between the another booth is only kind of like a little half wall. So we definitely want to make sure that we're being conscientious of our neighbors and making sure that we're not blocking their booth or blocking other people's access to their booth. The main thing is kind of thinking about, we don't really want anything going over the top of the booth, or like sticking out like 10 feet into the hallway, for instance. Basically just kind of think about, like, if you were on the other side of that and your neighbor was putting some large item out into the hallway, like how would you feel about that? So just kind of think about being conscientious and being respectful of your neighbors and making sure nothing's really sticking outside of your booth, and blocking the aisles, that kind of thing. And I think that's all I have, Vicki.
Okay, thanks, Jessica. Any questions so far for the things that Jessica just covered? I'm going to take us off for just a second, and I'm going to cover the rest of the bullet points on that slide. I'm going to talk about electricity for a second. When you apply for your booth, we ask you if you need electricity. Some do, some don't, that's fine. And then when you fill out your needs assessment, which is a second form, that is where you confirm your needs for electricity, because sometimes it does change. And also that's when you tell us who's coming. So, Kim may say, hey, I'm bringing this person, and this person, and I do need electricity. So we'll go ahead and get all of that taken care of for you. The reason that I specifically want to draw attention to electricity is in that building, we drop all the power from the ceiling. So we bring in a cherry picker the day before and they pull down electrical drops. That way, it's already there, it's ready when you come in and you can access it. If for some reason you don't order it prior to, that is something that we cannot accommodate the day of, because once the show is set, I can't bring in the cherry picker. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay, so if you think you're gonna need electricity, even if you're like, I just want to plug in my cell phone, go ahead and order it just to be safe. If you don't need it, not a problem, but also bring an extension cord, because when we drop it, we drop them in sections. And so you might not be 2 feet from an outlet, but your outlet might be 8 feet away from you, and you want to make sure that you have that cord. Let's talk a little bit about music and sound. That is a big building. I think it's like 95,000 square feet. It is a big open building. Sound carries. One of the things that we do to try and decrease that sound is we've carpeted the entire building. Most shows don't. So one, it helps with the sound, but two, it also helps with our feet, our legs, and our back, because we're a little bit more comfortable standing on concrete all day. Just be cognizant of the sound. When we're setting up, sound isn't an issue, but once the show starts at 4 o'clock, we do not allow music playing in booths, because if 150 exhibitors played music, you couldn't hear yourself talk. You could not have a conversation. And also, we don't have the licenses to do that. And I'll be honest with you, I don't want to pay a fine. So make sure that you are not incorporating music into your booth. That's really something important. And just be respectful of your neighbor, like they said. The next thing I'm going to talk about is food and beverage. Is everybody excited for the food menu that we just showed? Have people seen it? Yeah. We have 6 different food vendors that we work with. We try to provide a variety of stuff, of things that are healthier, things that are not so healthy, but are certainly yummy as well. And like Jessica said, we definitely encourage you guys to take advantage of that. It comes with your booth. So we allow our exhibitors to eat between 3 and 4. We encourage you to do that. And then that way you're at 4 o'clock, you're in your booth, you're ready to go, you're ready to welcome all the attendees. Because of our contract with the fairgrounds, people are not allowed to serve food or beverage out of their booth, other than the food vendors. So if somebody wants to have a popcorn machine and serve popcorn, you're not allowed to based on our contract. People always ask me, can I have like covered candy at my, of course, if you want to have a dish with, some covered mints or chocolates or something like that, that is 100% fine. We just can't have people serving food or beverages due to health and safety regulations and our contract with the fairgrounds. The question then comes up about bars. In years past, for those of you who have worked with us at the trade show, we used to have a bar available that served beer and wine. We do not have that option anymore. That changed last year, and it comes down to basically permitting and liability. So we don't have a bar. People ask to be close to the bar or the food. So being close to a bar isn't a possibility, but being close to food is definitely a possibility. And we've spread that throughout. The next thing is restrictions and waivers. Not really a lot to talk about with that, y'all, because hopefully things are getting better from our last couple of years. Some restrictions that we do have, we have restricted the booth numbers, like Jessica said. We also have increased our aisles so they're wider, both longwise and our cross aisles. We have increased our lobby size to try and accommodate for that. As of now, we always follow any kind of restrictions or regulations that the state and that our local officials set. So as of right now, I don't have any specific restrictions to share with you. Of course, if that changes, we will let you know. But something else we have done is we have made sure that all of our food vendors are able to do individual packaging. So you'll be able to go up and get whatever you're eating, and it's individually packaged with a lid, and it's safe and secure. And then the last thing that I want to say is make sure that if you are on here and you are getting all this amazing information, you share it with your team. Because what sometimes happens is I attend this session and I may have the best intentions, but I forget to tell Kelly and Stephen and Sydney, who are all on my team. And then they show up and they don't know this information and they're not prepared and they're caught off guard. And Kelly says, what do you mean? I didn't know that I didn't know that this was my booth. I didn't know that I had, so just share that information with your team so that they're prepared and they come in and into a positive experience, if that makes sense.
All right, so before the show, make sure that you, as Vicki just said, meet with the team attending, make sure everybody who's going to participate in the show knows what the rules are, what the restrictions are, what the timing is, everything. Make sure that you have a list of items to bring. Having scissors and tape and hooks and things like that are always important. That's another reason why it's good not to wait till the last minute to set up your booth, because once you get in there and start working, you may realize that you need this or you need that. You may need to run and get it. Sometimes I've been able to get hooks from Holland's as far as, to hang up my banner. But if you have some, bring some. I don't know if I've just been lucky or if they always make sure to have some. And, prepare for the loading and unloading by either having enough people or having a dolly, whatever it is you need. You're going to want to have some kind of fishbowl or container for the business cards, just if you're doing a drawing, and have any giveaways and prizes that you plan to give out. I have had to, like last year, I gave tickets to a rodeo. So that wasn't like something I could have there. So, we had a nice big sign that showed what it is we were going to give away. And then, I had to coordinate with the winner as far as getting them the tickets later. But just make sure that it's clear what you're giving away and, how you're going to go about giving the prize away, whether you want them to come back to your booth and get it, or you'll drive it to their property, that type of thing. Doesn't hurt to practice setting up your booth. If you have one of those standard kind of pop-up things, then, you might already be pretty familiar with having to use the same one, in multiple shows. But if not, and you're getting creative, just make sure everything is working properly and, that it's going to be in the, that it'll fit into your booth, and there won't be any problems with that. And be sure to wear comfortable shoes, arrive early again, so you can make sure that booth gets set up, and you have time for any last minute things that you may need to do. And everybody will have an exhibitor packet with a few different things in it on your table when you arrive, and be sure to go through the contents of that. There's going to be a place where you can list out what your giveaways are and who won them, so that you can give them to TAA, and they'll announce them on the website. People will go to the website and see if they want anything. They may not know before they leave. And there's usually a trash bag in there, and some reminders on the rules, your badges. So it's important. It's an important little envelope. So be sure and open it and be sure you have it.
I think you covered everything, but the most important thing is those comfortable shoes, y'all. Last year, we all wore cowboy boots to go with the theme, and our feet paid dearly throughout the night. So please wear comfortable shoes. Learn from.
Thanks, Stephanie and Cindy. I'm reading as I answer. So somebody said, can we set up in the morning, leave and come back? Will the booth be okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we do have staff and volunteers there all day. They'll be wearing shirts that, so people aren't going to go rummaging through your things, you know, after you've set your booth up and you leave. And there'll be plenty of us walking around if you need help. You know, maybe you do need scissors, you forgot to bring some, just ask us. We'll do our best to see, you know, if we can find some for you. But you will definitely have people there to turn to ask, you know, questions and ask for any additional help that you may need. And the table size that you're going to get is 6 feet. So you can bring additional tables or rent additional tables. And of course, don't forget that wagon or dolly that you may need to load your stuff in.
So I actually spoke with my team prior to this, just kind of gathering some information because they all attended last year. And I was like, what was your favorite? And they love the games. Anything interactive. They specifically were talking about one where you stuck your hand in and pulled out, you could either pull out a 20 or you could pull out a 1. Anything quick moving. I know in the past people have brought like that cash grab machine where it's like flying up in the air. People love that stuff. It grabs their attention and it creates like an energetic atmosphere that people are always really drawn to. Just good giveaways are always fun.
I agree with Tyra. I love games. My first year that I ever went to a trade show, it was whenever Words with Friends was a big deal. So they did like a giant, basically a Scrabble board, and everybody just added to it throughout the night. And then you just wrote down what your word was, the point count. And at the end of the night, that's how they determined the winner of their giveaway. And it was a really unique and relevant idea in a game.
That is fun. That's creative. And definitely, you know, be cognizant of the time it takes to play the game, because you don't want people, you know, to get stuck there too long. People are not going to want to wait in a long line. So I think Tyra mentioned, you know, if it's kind of fast moving, then that's going to be to your advantage. But it definitely draws people in because they see the excitement and the energy that goes along with it.
And that being said, we still have to keep an eye on the noise level. We can be a rowdy bunch.
Right. You don't want a game that's like bing, 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 or something.
And then as far as like what makes me personally like walk past a booth is when there is no engagement. There's no games, or the people are like unapproachable, or they're like sitting down.
You know, even if it's a product or a service that I might not necessarily need, if it looks like a fun booth that I'm gonna be engaged in, I'm gonna stop by and say hi at least.
As far as the budget goes too, you know, not everybody can afford big elaborate prizes like, you know, some companies can and do. And that's okay. And, you know, if you don't have the budget to be able to buy, you know, 600 items to give away, you know, you can buy like 12. And then just, again, if you use the game or some kind of thing that they have to do to earn the prize, whether they earn it or their name goes into a drawing, you can still have the engagement without having to give everybody something to walk away with, you know. So you really can get creative with your budget. It doesn't have to be huge to be you know, successful.
Like I said earlier, some of my favorite ones are the ones where it's just like one item, like a $200 handbag, which is way cheaper than spending thousands of dollars on branded like cups. And you're getting all that contact information.
Something that we often see that I'll add is it depends on your company's product and service. So instead of just buying a prize, I've seen exhibitors throughout the years maybe offer a discount on a specific service that they offer. Or I know a lot of times our landscapers will give away plants and trees and flowers, and people love that.
That's one of my favorites.
Sometimes they'll say like, you know, take it at the end of the night, or they'll raffle those off. It might be, you know, movie tickets or you know, a smaller gift card. I think in general, everyone likes to win something. So it doesn't have to be grand. I think that it can just be creative. And, you know, Cindy mentioned the rodeo. Last year, our theme was the saddle up, the country western, and they tied into that. So maybe this year, since it's get the band back together, maybe it's a concert tickets or something like that, you know. So you all, and I know sometimes that gets really pricey, but you know, so just, you know, think about what may work for you. Does anyone have, you know, I think everyone on here, even if you're an exhibitor, you've been to a trade show before. Does anything stand out as a really cool prize maybe?
I love the idea of like a concert ticket.
I do too.
You know, and it could just be a Live Nation gift card.
Oh, that's awesome too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't have anything to add as far as like a cool giveaway that I've seen, but just kind of something to specify with the giveaways. There are always little giveaways. They're not always, but most of the time exhibitors have little giveaways like pens, cups, something that people can take with them that night, or a prize for a game. And then also separately a big giveaway where you drop your business card in a fishbowl. So there's kind of two different giveaway ideas to think about going into the trade show. Again, like everybody said, work within your budget and also know your audience of, you know, who are you trying to attract and communicate with business wise. You know, if it's maintenance that you want to target, maybe don't pick a purse to give away. You know, think about who you want and need to do business with and pick a giveaway, small or big, based on that. And then regardless of what you pick as your giveaway, how you choose your winners is important. Don't go digging through your fishbowl of business cards to pick somebody, you know, a regional or a vice president that you're dying to do business with. That's not fair. It's not fair. And, you know, I guarantee you're going to get a lot further if you do a genuine drawing. Just pick it out of the bowl and first one out wins. You're going to get a much better response from all parties.
And I want to piggyback off of that. And honestly, like, one, make sure you're posting it. Let us know who won because people are curious. And then our RPMs genuinely would much rather have the on-site people win. The maintenance techs, the leasing consultants, the people that are on site. They get all kinds of things all the time. They genuinely would much rather the on-site people win. And those are the decision makers too.
Yes, and it's not lost if you're trying to do business with Samantha, the vice president of whatever company, if you've been calling and emailing and reaching out and trying to schedule a meeting, and then suddenly she wins a prize and you have to see her. We know what's going on and they know too. So just be genuine about it. It's a lot better for everybody. And in your exhibitor pack that you're given at trade show, there's actually a slip in there that you can fill out who your winner is and turn it in that night and either catch the person at the show and give them the prize or follow up with them afterwards.
Awesome. We have a question from Shailene. She said, do we have an estimate on the number of attendees for swag giveaways? Yes and no. I'm going to answer it pre-COVID and then last year, and then I'll kind of tell you a little bit about where we are this year. So pre-COVID, we would have said plan for at least 1,000 attendees. That was I think our 2019 show had about 1,100 plus attendees. Yeah. And then we didn't have a show in 2020 for the obvious reasons. Last year, we had our show towards the end of the year. It was in November as we were starting to come out of the restrictions. We had over 700 people registered. So I'm going to say somewhere in between there is the best number that I could guesstimate, Shailene. Basically, at this point, we still have a good week for early bird registration. And so that's our big push, is to get owner operators registered by the 31st of March to save $10 a ticket. So as you're also sharing that information, please share that. You know, hey, if you guys are planning on going, sign up by March 31st. If, you know, Tyra wants to bring her entire team and that's, you know, 8 people, she's going to save $80 by going ahead and getting them registered by March 31st. Registration goes until a week before the show. So, you know, I can, if you ever want to shoot me an email and say, hey, Vicki, where are we on numbers? I can give you a closer estimate a little bit further down. But I'd say in between that 700 and 1,000 range is where I would kind of shoot for. All right, I think some people, we're losing some folks. We're going to go until a little after 12, and then we're going to do our drawing for the free booth for next year, and then we'll take some Q&A.
Make sure you smile. Nobody wants to come into a booth if you look like a negative Nancy. Smile, be friendly. Treat everyone the same. You should be happy to see every booth visitor that you have. Please eat before the show. No one wants to engage with you and you're spitting your onion breath all over their face because you're shoving a hot dog down at the same time that you're pitching to them. So just be respectful, not only of your neighbors with your noise and your booth decor, but be respectful of the booth attendees by eating before and giving them your full attention when they're in front of you. Stand in front of your table, not behind it. But at the same time, you don't want to go out into the aisles and pull people away when they're talking to one of your neighbors. Wait your turn. Just wait until they're in your booth and then you can talk to them. And the name tags are going to be color coded. So that way when you see someone coming, you know exactly who you're about to encounter, if they're maintenance or on-site or a regional or owner. Say, familiarize yourself in your exhibitor packet with the color code system for the name tags. It'll save you a lot of time and confusion throughout the night. And make sure you have enough people in your booth, which shouldn't be hard because everyone who's coming to the show with you should be in the booth, not out walking the aisles during the show. So if everyone's there, you're properly staffed. You don't have to worry about people passing you by because you're too busy to talk to them. So you don't miss out on that opportunity. And I know we've said this a lot, but do not break down your booth early. It's not fair to show attendees. It's not fair to your neighbors because let's say you break down and the person 2 booths down breaks down, but then there's somebody in the middle who's hanging in there. They're committed to staying there until the end. If someone, let's say, I know this happened to Cindy before, someone looks down the aisle and it looks like everyone's broken down, they don't go down that aisle. So the people who did their part and stayed until the end of the show, they miss out on those booth visits, and it's just not fair.
And what kind of message are you sending to the people who did show up at 7 that they're not important enough, you know,
Right.
for you to wait 30 more minutes? Just know that there will be people that are going to break down early. There's going to be. So just don't be the domino in that, you know. You can't control other people, but believe me, we all are having our eyes out there and we know who it is and we'll remember who it is. And it, like Stephanie said, it's not fair to the attendees who can't get there till later. It's not fair to the other exhibitors who are, you know, sticking it out and they still want people to come down in that direction. But if it looks like nothing's happening, they're not going to. So definitely that is a hot point with me.
Thanks, you guys. I appreciate that. And this year, one thing, we're also going to have different color lanyards for owner operators and exhibitors. So that's also another, our exhibitors are going to have red lanyards, and our owner operators are going to have a black lanyard with white imprint from our sponsor. And so that will also be a visual for folks so that if you know you want to be talking to owner operators, That's not red. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and jump to the next slide if nobody has any questions with this.
Oh, Vicki, I think we missed something. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
We want to mention, don't put all your giveaways out at one time because there are staggered arrivals throughout the show. So if you put it out there, they're going to take it, and then you're not going to have anything left, and no one's going to come to your booth. So put out a little at a time throughout the night so that each group arriving, no matter what time it is, has an equal opportunity to grab your swag.
Great idea. All right. Thanks, Stephanie, for adding that in. Okay. What not to do.
I think these things speak for themselves. They don't look very engaging, like Tyra said before about her, what's going to make her walk past a booth. I think these pictures are good indications of what that might be. You know, if you look like you're bored and you'd rather be any place but there, then people are not going to be drawn to you. You know, usually it's the activity, the game, or the people that are engaging the attendees and bringing them into their booth so that they can have conversations. And if you are, you know, just appear to, you know, prioritize your food or your phone or, you know, your computer getting some work done, then that's how it's going to look, is that you're prioritizing that over the attendees. And you're paying for that opportunity to engage with those attendees. All those other things you can do another time, you know, so.
Sorry, thought I was unmuted. Make sure to use your resources, you know, review the information you've received. We've talked a lot about the exhibitor packet today. You'll be given that in your booth on trade show day. So make sure you go through that. It has a lot of helpful tips and a trash bag. So go through that, familiarize yourself, and then use the website too. Also use your volunteers. There'll be TAA volunteers at the trade show location all day to help. All throughout the trade show, we'll be there. As you can see in these photos, we wear these bright blue shirts, so you can't miss us. So just feel free to flag anybody down. And then if you need help during the show, volunteers will always be at the TAA booths, which this year are booths 404 and 406. So feel free to stop by and ask any of us for help.
And then, of course, TAA staff can be found at registration and all over the place all day long. I mean, the volunteers, we walk up and down the aisles asking if you need anything. We have a kit, we have water, we have all the things. And then also during the show, before the show, utilize the information booth. This is actually new. Last year was the first year we did it. So it's there for you to use. Let them know if you need anything. Let any of us know if you need anything. We will do our best to accommodate you.
Okay.
Perfect. Well, that is all we have for today. We appreciate you guys joining us.